Hi there, my name's Henry Eliot and I'm the author of the Penguin Classics book. And this book is designed to be a reader's companion to the best books ever written in the world. So the aim of this book is to put all those books into your two hands, between two covers, and tell you a little bit about every one and every one of the authors as well. And it takes you through from the very beginning of literature, with the Epic of Gilgamesh in Mesopotamia, all the way through to the poetry of the First World War. So it's a kind of history of world literature through each of the Penguin Classics titles. It's also beautifully designed and illustrated with photography of the first Penguin editions of each of these titles. So you get a real sense of this list growing over time and being built by a whole raft of different editors, translators, series editors, designers, and so on. It's an absolute treasure chest, like a kind of chocolate box of books which you just want to dive into and gorge on, or at least that's what I hope you'll want to do. And I brought along a few things to show you from the Penguin archive. So this is where it all began. This is the very first Penguin classic. It's the Odyssey by Homer, translated by Evie Roux. Now, Evie Roux was a semi-retired academic publisher who spent much of the Second World War sitting on top of a roof on Birkbeck College in London, watching out for fires during the Blitz. And during these strange, unreal, cold, chilly nights, he would pass the time by translating the Odyssey. He said that he went back to the Odyssey in these unreal times because Homer was the supreme realist in his eyes. And after he'd translated this book, he pitched it to Alan Lane, the founder of Penguin Books, and said, "Would you like this new translation of the Odyssey?" And frankly, it wasn't a very promising pitch, because between the two wars, between the First World War and the Second World War, there had been 8 new editions of the Odyssey, including 3 new translations, and none of them had sold that well. I think 3 had sold over 3,000 copies, which was kind of middling fare at the time. But Alan Lane saw that this was something different. He commissioned the translation. Not only that, he commissioned Evie Roux to be the new series editor of a new translation series. The Odyssey was different because it presented this great work of classical literature as a slim, accessible paperback. It was put on bookstalls alongside crime fiction, popular fiction, and people felt like it was approachable and accessible. And it was a brilliant bet that Alan Lane made, because this book was the best-selling Penguin book for years. It sold something like 3 million copies in the end, and the first book that overtook it was Lady Chatterley's Lover, after that became so famous after the trial. So the series got off to a good start, and Evie Roux, the first translator, was the kind of founding father. He saw it through those first years. The series has expanded over the last 7 decades, and it's had 4 different designs. It began with this one, which was refined slightly but remained pretty much the same until 1963. Then the second design was the first one to introduce what is now a kind of trademark black spine on Penguin Classics. This is my personal favourite design of the 4. It's so simple. It was introduced by an Italian designer called Giacomo Facchetti. And as you can see, it's just got very simple lettering at the top, Penguin Classics in the title. If this had an author, it would have an author name there. And then it always had such bold designs. I love this one. This is the Cloud of Unknowing, is a 14th century anonymous religious text. But rather than, I don't know, show an illuminated manuscript or something, they've taken this little woodcut of a cloud, turned it negative, and then put it in this sort of fluorescent pink on a black background. It's so bold. This edition's from 1965, and you could probably only have made this book in the 1960s, but I love it. Then the next design came along in 1985, and I've got one of the early mock-ups of how that design was kind of created. This was the mock-up for Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, which first entered classics in this look. And as you can see, this is the sort of tracing paper that the designer used to make the grid. This design harked back to the first one slightly by having a cream border and a little, it was a black panel with white writing for the title, and then an image in the middle. It now feels rather sort of rigid and constrictive, I find. But this is the look that I grew up reading as a teenager, and what I studied at school. I didn't seem to mind it at the time. But since then, it's changed one last time. In 2003, we have a completely new look now, which is modelled very well here on the shelves behind me. This look has become the sort of classic look that we associated with Penguin Classics of recent years. It has a black panel at the bottom, a little white strip with the series name on it, and then the rest of the cover is taken up with a full bleed image like this. And again, it's very classic, and this look has spread across the world. So in the USA, Penguin in America are producing books using this grid. It's also being produced in South Africa, in China, in Spain, in Brazil. It's become a truly global brand, and long may it continue. But I suppose the point of this book that I've written, is feeling like there's so many treasures on this list. It's so huge and there's so much to explore, but it's actually quite difficult to know where those hidden corners are. And so what I hope this will be is a kind of map, a sort of map for explorers who want to set out into that literary terrain and discover new mountains, new secret corners, new books that they're going to love reading.